Has music ever shifted your state? Has music ever made you feel inspired or motivated? Has music ever helped you become quiet and still and more centered and peaceful? I know it has for me. Music has been such an important part of my life, and particularly with respect to my spiritual journey and my awakening. And today I have a special guest who is joining us yet again on Talking True. And she is a real expert with respect to using her voice to create positive movements and changes in the states of the people who listen to what she is singing. Her name is Saule Ilona Vaida, and she is going to speak to me and speak to us today about what has inspired her recently. And so, Saule, thank you so much for joining me. It's great to have you here on Talking True.
Oh, thank you so much. It's always such a pleasure to speak with you and such a beautiful resonance. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. So, before we came on to the show, you were telling me about your latest project. Do you want to just start with what inspired you to create music
Mm.
around what you were feeling and intuiting?
Yes. So it's interesting actually as you were speaking about how music moves us. I felt called to kind of share about maybe the first time that music has moved me. When I was a child growing up, I studied at, a classical music school here in Lithuania. And I just remember one day after school, because I felt so inspired and so just in love with music and everything about music, all types of music. It's always just been so delicious to me. It's like I could just listen to music all day long and not get tired. And I was listening to classical music, Mozart, Beethoven, and I would just cry because I was so moved by these melodies. And I was just feeling how can something so beautiful be created? And that was actually what kind of brought me into one of my first meditative experiences was listening to classical music and almost like feeling so moved by the music that I felt like I was just drifting and kind of leaving my body in a sense and just traveling along with the music. And I would sit in my room and turn the lights off and lay on the floor. And I had my little CD player where I would play, Mozart's classics and just allow myself to be totally transported. So I just, it's so beautiful how music has such a profound effect on our body, on our mind when we listen to it. So much calming and soothing and in so many aspects. And I'm sure every person has a song that has been like a best friend to them in a difficult time period or in a joyful time period and kind of just creates the soundtrack of our life that's playing in the background. And it's just I have such a deep love for music and all types of music in that sense. And also being a healer and being on my spiritual journey, those two worlds kind of began to merge bit by bit. And I think I spoke last time a little bit about having, this kind of almost shamanic vocal activation where I went through an illness and I came out and I had like a new voice downloaded into me and I was like, okay, wow. And shortly after that time, I was guided to go to Oaxaca, Mexico, where I met someone at a market who told me about this sound healer named Roberto Gopar, who is an indigenous Zapotec sound healing master who's been practicing for over 30 years. And so I reached out to him and he invited me to meet with him. And my proposal was to, see how we could collaborate with, Reiki and singing and sound healing. And he told me afterwards that he has a lot of people reach out to him and a lot of people coming to him wanting to work together. But when we met, there was just this deep soul recognition and this deep sense of soul family. So I began receiving sessions from him that were, very body-based, very medical, very exact sound healing sessions because he's also a trained Chinese medicine practitioner. So he, instead of using needles, he uses the Mayan trumpet, which is kind of like a didgeridoo, but it's a lower frequency. So he is, very consciously working on specific acupressure points with the instruments. So people have these really profound healing experiences and it's a full body session experience. So it's kind of completely unique to anything that I've seen so far. So we began working together. Showed him, I sang a couple songs for him and showed him my work and he was like, yeah, let's go. Let's do this. And over time, I have been training with each instrument. So I began, by singing, and then I had an activation with the drum and learned to play the drum. And now I'm learning other instruments, but primarily I use my voice and I feel happy just using my voice. I love the drums as well. I love playing, but for me, just to be able to close my eyes and channel and connect and feel these frequencies, these other realms, and channel them through with the support of the instruments around me is so profound. So we've been traveling around Mexico doing these events and these healing sessions for all sorts of people, all walks of life, big groups, small groups, individuals, all around the country. So this year, especially, I felt the calling. I was like, we need to record an album. We need to share this with more people because he, is not so connected to technology. He doesn't really he was kind of like, oh, I recorded an album like 11 years ago and it was on CDs and I don't know where it is now. So I was like, okay, well, we need to actually, get this out and share this with the world. And so people can experience a full sound healing session at home, so they don't have to come all the way to Mexico or wherever to get this experience. Because I feel that it's really important and it can be really deeply profound and healing for people and to have that access that we have digitally and have, the opportunity that we have now with, social media and recording equipment to be able to really curate this album so that it's an entire sound journey in itself. I was like, we got to do this. We got to find a way to do this. So I kind of really like, pushed pushed him into creating this. And now I just really feel that the divine is asking me to get this to as many people as possible who can use the healing and use the experience. And it's something greater than myself because, it's sound and it's pure and people who have listened to it already have reported very profound experiences and movements and working through the chakras and moving up. So that's kind of been the short of the long and long and the short story around that.
That's wonderful. And the thing that we all know to be true is that master yogis and Tibetan shamans and, indigenous people from cultures across the globe have used sound as a healing modality and as a way of
Mm,
transmitting, mantras and initiation practices and so on. And it's really when you start utilizing sound, it really deepens your whole connection to source. And of course, it does have an incredible healing capacity too. But again, before we came on to have this discussion, you said that you were focusing on green Tara. Is that correct?
yes. So Green Tara, I've had a deep love and connection with Green Tara, who is right behind you in this beautiful painting as well. And ever since I connected with her energy a few years ago through the Sophia Code book and going through the Green Tower initiation and discovering her mantra Om Tare Tu Re Soha has been just such a help, has such a just hugely helpful guide and friend and grounding force and balancing force because I think when I first discovered it, I was experiencing a lot of fear and anxiety on a regular basis and singing her mantra every day, listening to her mantra just helped me release so much of that fear and helped me really ground in and connect back to nature, connect back to my heart. And I just see her as such a beautiful deity because she also represents to me this process of our planetary change and ascension and her being in her backstory, her being, having gone through that on her own home planet and now being a guide to humanity through our own journey of ascension and sovereignty. It feels so comforting to me. So I wanted to create something that would honor her and honor my devotion and appreciation of her, and especially honoring nature and our divine feminine collective rising. Because, healing nature and healing with nature is such an amazing tool that, we can begin to connect with when we feel safe enough in our bodies and we're able to come out of the mind. So I created this song kind of just channeled through one day. Because that's how I write music. I just kind of channel just comes through and I just happened to be recording, thankfully, so I caught it all. And I knew I wanted to create something dedicated to her and to the divine feminine and divine mother.
Wonderful. Can we just kind of wind back a little bit? Can you
Mm-hmm.
just share, in case viewers are interested
Mm-hmm.
in the mantra, could you just kind of break that down and just,
Mm.
repeat that for
Mm-hmm.
people?
Yeah, so the mantra is Om Tare Tu Tare Tu Re Soha. And there are, yeah, it's a Tibetan Buddhist mantra, and I don't quite remember exactly what each phrase and syllable means literally. But I do know there are, I believe, 21 different faces of Tara and different mantras that she embodies. And each of them have their own very powerful healing capacities and healing abilities. So I just love whenever I'm, cooking or in the house, or if I'm, feeling ill or something, I'll put on her mantra and I'll go on YouTube and find Green Tara mantra for 30 minutes or something like that and listen to it, and just being with her energy is so healing.
Hmm. So just can I just have you repeat
Hmm.
it because it lagged a bit when you were
Oh,
saying
okay.
the mantra.
Oh,
So it's
sorry about that.
Om. No, it's all right.
Om Om Tare Tu Tare Tu Re Soha.
Beautiful.
So yeah.
Om Tare Ture.
Om Tare Tu Tare Tu Re Soha.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Mm.
So that's simple enough for, anybody, you could write it down and just keep repeating it or find it,
Mm-hmm.
look for it and do the research and repeat it. But you can really feel
Yes.
it. It has such a powerful heart energy to it,
Yes.
imbued in it. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Yes. Oh, thank
So
you.
so you were repeat so just so I'm clear, you've been repeating that and you had been doing your sound baths and doing that work, and then it was essentially downloaded, your new music was downloaded and then you wrote it down, correct? Yeah.
Yes, yes, because I've been writing and releasing music and recording music since 2020. And I just felt how much now I really wanted to mix mantra and worship and into music. So making, medicine that tastes good,
Yeah,
medicine that doesn't taste like medicine as well was my intention, and creating things that are easy to listen to and easy to take in, but also imbue a healing property. So whenever I go to record, and I've been doing this since my last EP, 222, which isn't quite medicine music, but it's more like folk, acoustic. And whenever I go to record, I set up an intention to just, channel the most divine healing for whoever's listening so they can receive it into their heart. And just, doing my best to really embody and transmit this healing frequency to everyone who's listening.
that's beautiful. And your music's on Spotify, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, it's on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you like to listen to your music, YouTube as well.
And then people can just find that by putting your name into the search engines, correct?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful. So did you say that you've just released your latest music? Was it yesterday or today, or when was it?
Yes, on June 20th with the solstice.
Wow.
Yes, very powerful full timing, especially because where I'm in right now in Lithuania, in my home country, it's the sun, we're so far north that the sun barely goes down in the winter. So the solstice is a huge traditional pagan celebration, and we do all these beautiful rituals. So I just, the timing is very beautiful. And the full album just came out yesterday, so I recommend whoever, if you're listening, to listen with headphones if you can, close your eyes, lay down, and just go through the entire journey. And it ends with the Green Tower mantra, because that's how our sound healing sessions end as well, with a Lemurian prayer to Divine Mother that channeled through me a couple years ago, and then also the Green Tower mantra to kind of bring people on this complete, journey, because it begins with like the intense, really deep earth rooting, cleansing frequencies, and moves through to kind of, from, the very core of the earth to the angelic realms, and then finally bringing us right back to the heart and integration.
Beautiful. So I do want to tell viewers that Saule had intended to do a live sharing of these some of these mantras and some of her music today, but since she's been traveling and she's traveled to Lithuania, she doesn't have the equipment with her, or the right equipment, I should say.
Yeah.
So, as her gift to the viewers, she's going to give us an excerpt that I will slot in at the end of this conversation, that you'll be
Mm.
able to enjoy, and then you can look for more of her work, more of her music online. I think that'll be fantastic.
Mm.
And I did listen
Thank
to.
you.
I was saying to Sally before we came on
Hmm.
to do the recording that she'd sent me a link to her music, and I started to listen to it while I was multitasking. I was doing three or four different things at the same time, and I started to listen. It was just pulling me in so deeply. I
Mm.
thought I need to just come back to this when I've got a kind of some space and I'm not being interrupted by all kinds of things, and then I can just go with it, because otherwise you end up having to sort of put the brakes on it, you know what I mean, and not allow yourself to completely go. And of course,
Mm.
the whole point is completely going with that music so that then you can receive the full benefit and you can
Yeah.
be graced with a healing, because there's always a healing in this kind of transmission, um,
Mm.
which is the beautiful part. So you're going to be in Lithuania for a little while? Will you be doing sound baths and concerts and things like that while you're there, or is it just restorative?
Yeah, so everything's shifting every single day. My journey is changing because I had planned to be here for a month and we're looking at maybe staying here a little bit longer if it aligns because I also feel really called to work with Ukrainian refugees here because there is a center where they help a lot of, women especially who have escaped from the war in Ukraine. So I feel really called to offer what I can to help them in workshops and through the music and sharing. Because also I offer a workshop for vocal activation and, somatic release through vocalization, which is always a very powerful experience for a lot of people because I've learned in my own experience that, allowing trauma to move through it, like trapped emotions and energy to move out through the voice can be so powerfully healing. So, with the shamanic drumming and with singing and just allowing that space to open up and just to feel safe and help women feel safe in their bodies and help them liberate their voice as well and be able to come back to their fullness and their full power through their voice as well is a very a big calling of mine as well and very, very work that's very close to my heart in that sense. So I really enjoy doing it. So I feel called to share that as much as I can here and um to also, see if we can do some concerts and some sharings here in Lithuania because I see a lot of parallels between Lithuania and Mexico. And I would love to bring this kind of music and alternative healing here as well and spread it out here in my homeland.
Oh, that sounds one. There's a lot of parallels too with Lithuania and Ukraine, obviously, right?
Mm,
Because I mean, and I'm speaking from my own direct experience here. When my husband and I we worked in two places in the Ukraine. One was in
mm,
Dnipropetrovsk, which was
mm,
in the southern part, and then in Kiev
mm,
for I think 18 months or something like that. One memory I have is because it gets very cold and you've got snow and ice on the ground and all of that in the
yeah.
winter months. And there's a warren of the subway. They have the subway under the city, and so oftentimes when you go down into the subways, there's stores and there's a whole hive of activity and stuff that kind of intersects
Mm,
and connects people, so they don't have to move through the cold weather up top. But I remember, going down these flight of stairs to go. I think we were just crossing the road actually, and we just decided to go through and underneath, which is a lot safer.
mm,
And this was in the evening, and there must have been 50 or 60 people down there, and they were dancing and they were singing, and there was a guy
mm,
playing the accordion. They were doing these kind of waltzes, I suppose is the best way of
mm,
putting it. But I remember we sat and listened to it, and I just started crying because the
mm,
depth of the heart and the soul in their words. And of course, I didn't know what they were singing about, but I
yeah.
could feel this pain that was in there that was being expressed and voiced. And
Mm,
it was the most beautiful thing, and it wasn't a paid event, it was just right there, in this underground area where it was warm. And
mm,
I guess it was older probably 50s, 60s, 70s, people in that sort of age range,
mm,
but coming together to sing and to dance and to enjoy and to heal probably as well, because these were people that were, struggling financially. And so they were coming together to kind of celebrate and create this healing space. And that's something I've never
mm,
forgotten. And that is so much a part. And I realized, this tradition of singing and storytelling and expressing what is in one's heart and soul, especially the painful parts, and bringing voice to
Yeah.
that and beauty to that is such a big part of the European, especially Eastern European mindset. So it sounds
Mm.
like it would be a wonderful gift if you can, get that going and help people.
Yes, I would really love to. I really feel called to share that. And yeah, you're absolutely right. I can just see it because we have a very, similar culture in that aspect as well here in Lithuania. There's a lot of connection and honoring of our ancestry and our traditions and our pagan roots, because, obviously with the Soviet Union occupations in Lithuania and Ukraine and other countries, there was essentially this clamping down on trying to erase our culture and our language. So people, very strongly, it kind of created this more of the strength to maintain it and to keep the songs alive, to keep passing down the songs. Like you try to find these songs online, you can't find them anywhere. Like you just learn them from the groups. And when I was a child as well living here, I was part of the like traditional folk dancing and singing groups, and we would wear all the traditional clothing and learn all the dances and sing all the songs. There's a particular song style called sutartinas, which is very similar, like very kind of grieving, very haunting, very yeah, just releasing of that emotion, these kinds of rounds of music. And I wonder as well if that's a product of, the geography of the country as well, because in the winter it gets very cold and very dark, and
Mhm.
that can create this style as well. And there's a beautiful event happening this summer in Vilnius that I'm going to be attending, which is called Dainų Šventė, which is a singing festival where hundreds of people get together and sing together. And it happens every 4 years. And this is the 100-year anniversary. And it's such a beautiful experience because, hundreds of voices coming together in the same song, playing together, wearing traditional clothing. And my friend who participated recently said she felt just such a force and such a strength to be unified. Even in the roots of the independence movement here in Lithuania, a big protest was when every person in the country, across the entire country, joined hands and were singing together. So basically every citizen of the country came together and joined hands and sang. And it was called the singing revolution. And it was a big part in putting their body in front of tanks, putting their bodies in front of like Russian war tanks coming, trying to get through and just singing and holding strong. And it's just beautiful because it's not a big country. We're only like 3 million people in the whole world, and for everyone to come together and such a peaceful protest in this sense, but so powerful with the voice. It's just something that I feel so proud of as well, to know and to witness, and just
Mhm.
kind of the yeah, because I'm sure most listeners don't even know about, this country or this particular revolution. So I'm very happy to be able to share awareness on that, and, also shows the power of our voice when we come together, and we come together in song and we express, and we can move mountains.
Yes. Yeah, what I'm getting as well is it might be really, really beautiful for you to do a recording of this music that
Mm,
you sing, to help move grief in
yes.
Lithuania. I think that would be really lovely. I'm guessing
Yeah.
nobody else is doing that, right? I don't think.
Well, that might be the next album.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be lovely because I honestly it just haunts me every time I remember, what I shared that memory of being, in the subway and listening to these Ukrainian people singing and dancing, and it was just the most powerful, powerful,
Mm.
heart moving, soul stirring music. And
Mm.
I couldn't move. I just sat there and was just crying and crying and crying. And it was really something. And it was just a surprise because it was just right there. And my understanding is I did ask people later, and they said, oh, yes, they do that every week. It was a Friday evening, I think, I seem to remember.
Mm.
And they
Oh,
meet every evening to dance and to sing away their pain is the way
yeah.
it was described to me. So,
Oh, so
yeah,
beautiful.
really, really beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I loved it. I'm really enjoying hearing what you're being called to, because I think that would be fantastic, especially for the refugees and for the people,
Hmm.
Ukrainians, who, let's face it, really don't have any sense of when they may return there, if ever, the way things are,
Yeah. Yeah.
because there doesn't seem to be any kind of immediate possibility of any change. But even though we hope for the best and we pray for the best, um,
Yeah.
so I think that would be a great thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very excited to get, this whole project off the ground and see how we can materialize it, and even just being able to share whatever I can with them and bring them into that circle. And because yeah, it's such a because even just me returning here to my ancestral lands after not being here for some time, and obviously the situation is not nearly any type of the same as what they're going through. It's like to imagine that feeling of not being able to return to your home and losing your home, which is so tragic that so many people are going through that right now in different parts of the world, and in Palestine and in
Mm-hmm.
Gaza, and what's happening in Ukraine and many other parts of the world in Africa. And it's so important for us to hold space for healing and rehabilitation, and coming back to our power, because that's how we can change the world as well. It's not going to happen through more violence and more war.
No,
It's going to
no,
happen through us coming together.
yes, and reclaiming the feminine energy, the heart
Yes.
wisdom, the
Mm-hmm.
divine movement and sharing of grace, and connecting
Mm.
into one's own innate wisdom. That's
Yes.
really where it's at. So, any work that embodies that and supports that is really needed in this world.
Mm.
Very much so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Because when we think about, when conquering happens of a territory, the first ones who are affected are the women. The
Yeah.
first ones who are targeted are the women, because that's
Mm-hmm.
the lifeblood, that's the force of the community.
Mm-hmm.
So when we as women can, come back into that place of community, and come back into that place of our wisdom and our power and our voice, and using our voice to express, to release, to grieve, to rage, to allow all of this to come through us, that's when we begin to rebuild and reclaim, exactly like you said.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Well, Sole, thank you so, so, so much for spending time with me today and for sharing everything you've shared. It's really beautiful. But before we go, is there anything else you would like to share with viewers, or if you could reinforce where they could find you, just to remind them, that would be really great.
Yes, so I would absolutely love to share this sound healing album. It's out under my artist name, Saule Ilona Vaida. It's called Sound Healing Volume 1 of many. And if you'd like to find me on Instagram and let me know how you felt, what you experienced with the album, I'm so happy to hear.
any feedback and any experiences. My username is also Saule Ilona Vaida. And I'm also working on releasing a course on vocal activation and vocal alchemy that will be available on my website, which is also www.
Ilona Vaida. So the same name, just write it down and you'll find me there. It's pretty unique. So
Fantastic.
yeah.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful.
Mm.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Sola. This has been really beautiful. I've thoroughly enjoyed it and
Thank you so much.
really,
Awesome.
really nice. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's such a deep honor and pleasure to be able to share. Thank you so much for this beautiful space.
Thank you.
Mm.
And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. As always, I appreciate you spending the time and listening, either as you're, resting at home or on the go. It's another, option that you have. So thank you, thank you, thank you. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. That helps YouTube know that this content is valuable and it allows other people to have access to. So please do that. And as always, be well, keep shining bright, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
Into the ethers to take your